Did clean the heck up.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? We're finally here. Tonight, Dusty and I have two special guests from north of the border. We have the HVAC doctor, Matt Waxer, and we have HVAC J604. Jason, what's going on, guys?
Not
What's
much.
happening?
How you doing?
What's happening?
Just winding down, man. It's been it's one of the first weeks where I've been almost a full schedule at work, and just I've been kind of a half schedule for the last 5-6 weeks, and going back into like 14, 12-hour days, just kind of dragging it out of me.
That'll do it to you, Pat.
Yeah.
But it's in you, brother. You keep grinding, you keep doing what you do. And,
Yeah.
Great things come to great people like yourself, brother.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get some of these new guys trained up, and I think once I get these new guys trained up, it'll be a lot better off, a lot easier. So we'll see.
Also a lot easier to train them up when they show up on time.
Dude, I was so that's like my pet peeve, dude. And he the way he handled it and called me and acted like I was late and he wasn't at the right place. It just struck a nerve, dude. It's just you set the tone for the whole day, and that's not the tone you want to set.
I know Pat and I, we chatted about this issue, and Pat and I are of a similar mindset. So to set the stage a little bit, Pat had an apprentice show up late to work, to catch a ride with him, and just in general show up late. So, my opinion on this matter is for apprentice helpers that are breaking into this industry, you've got to grind. You got to pay your dues. You got to show up. So if your mechanic says, I'm picking you up at 7 a.m., you be at that pickup spot at 6:45 a.m. If you're there at 7 a.m., you're late. So, you show respect to that mechanic. You show respect to the industry. You show up early, ready to go, and willing to go. And Jay, what do you think about that?
I couldn't agree more. I was quite the eager beaver to impress my journeyman when I was an apprentice, right? You kind of had to be. I hate to say you wanted to be teacher's pet, but you kind of did. When the journeymen were doing the cool, fun jobs, you wanted to be the apprentice they picked to come do something new, fun, and exciting. And when I started working, there was several other apprentices that were hired before me, so it was kind of you kind of had to play the game a little bit to be chosen for the cool stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, I just say the 15-minute early thing, but as long as you're at the job ready to go by 7 o'clock, I don't care. I don't want you showing up at 7 and sitting on your phone for 5 or 10 minutes, or showing up at 7:05, and just lollygagging in. Because a lot of times, in my industry and me and Dustin's industry, that first AM call is golden. We could actually charge a premium for that 7 o'clock time slot. And I mean, sometimes customers come in early so we can get in there at 7 and get out before they get there. And to show up late and the customer's waiting on you it's disrespectful and rude to the customer, I feel. I mean, if you're going to show up at 7 o'clock, you better be jumping out your truck ready to go. But I prefer you to be there about 7:05. Then you can, get your shit together for a couple minutes and then come in. I mean, but yeah, if you show up at 7 and you sit in your truck for 5-10 minutes scrolling through Instagram, check out the latest tools or whatever, that's what irritates me.
Checking out the latest HVAC J604, who's above me, the latest Commercial Kitchen Chronicles over here. And sorry, the directional thing ain't working tonight. Checking out the latest stuff from Dusty. If you're doing that before you get on a job, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
do that on your own time. Respect your mechanic's time and get there on time.
No,
and that's a lot of good.
What do you think about that, Dusty?
Too. I've had a lot of customers who will go out of their way and oblige you and be there at 7 or 6:30. And if you show up late, they came in early and they're just sitting there. So they know, there's an awkward frustration. And especially if you run into snags in the job, and you go, you're a little later past 8 o'clock or it's close to 9 or they're trying to open, then you're just the guy who didn't respect them and opened up late. Now they're pissed off. So it's, I like to be in the door around the time they say they're going to be there. So walking in at 7, getting to work at 7. So.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree with that more.
Yeah.
For myself, if I have a customer where I'm scheduled to be on a facility, say at 7 a.m., I'm walking in and saying to the customer, at 6:50. Hey,
Yeah.
I've just parked. I'm unloaded. I'm ready to go with my team. If I have an apprentice with me, I'm ready to go. I know we're a little bit early, but is it cool if we get in and get going early? A lot of
Yeah.
times, 9 times out of 10, they really respect the fact that you came in early. You're showing that drive, that initiative to get stuff taken care of and get that call knocked out of the ballpark before they expected you to actually be there.
I'm not trying to be rude laughing. I'm just trying to figure out what's in Jay's lap.
I was thinking
It's
the
his
same
dog.
thing, man. What is that? Oh, it's a dog.
It's like I kept seeing like a little head pop up. I'm like, is
He's
that a
just
dog?
little. He's
Please
just
tell me it's
little.
not a
Cat?
puppet or
It's a dog.
something.
No.
No, and Jay,
You're
you
like,
never
we
know
need
what
to
he's going
cancel
to
this
have.
live stream. Jason's out. We can't talk to him anymore. And he was howling upstairs. It's just me and the dog home right now, and he was whining because his people aren't here right now.
That's fine. I was just curious what it was. I didn't know if like you had a puppet or something. I was like, please tell me this dude doesn't have a puppet, man. Please tell me he doesn't have a puppet.
I thought it was a blanket, like a sheet. Like he was like snuggled up in like a fleece.
No, just my little dog.
That's Jay's Snuggie, if you don't mind.
That's a
Yeah.
snuggie. Yeah.
So Jay's had a little busy day. He got up early today and he did some previous podcasts. Some of my friends sniped my interview today.
You got
So,
scooped.
Yeah,
But I call it the practice run for the real podcast that's going tonight there, Pat.
I'll just drop my episode before theirs, but I can't compete with their numbers. So, but no, Eric and Andy they're two of the best in the business, man. I really look up to those guys. So anything they do, I'd make sure I check it out. So that was cool.
Yeah,
they're great.
they're
Great
definitely
content.
stand-up guys. And how Jay got his way on there, I'm going to have to work some of Jay's magic.
I don't know how it was. I don't know how it worked out either, but
That nap, man. They remembered that nap.
Yeah,
I
we
remember
have
the
some-
where in the world is Carmen San Diego stickers.
that's right. I only got a few left.
That's
of
pretty good
stickers.
too. I want some random person to find it and then try to figure out where it comes from.
I've left a few out in the wild and I didn't post, just like underneath like coffee tables and stuff at like coffee places. And I just wrote on the painter's tape, like, if you find this on Instagram, like, come find me. And nothing's happened yet. So they're probably just sitting underneath there somewhere.
I want to take mine in like every bathroom. Like I stop at a gas station, like slap them up on the walls. And I couldn't bring myself to do it, but I got a friend out in California. He was in one of my classes a couple of years ago. He's like, dude, if you send me if you send me a stack of those, I will put them all over the place. So I need to get some stuff to California and see where all these sticks are.
100%. Absolutely. Jay's whole where in the world is Carmen San Diego sticker thing, that I think has officially become Jay's theme song.
Is that? Did you put one at a United refrigeration? Is that what I saw?
No, I don't think so. There's no Uniteds where I am. There we have like
that's right.
one specific to Western Canada, basically. So they're pretty big out here right now. So I've been hiding them underneath there. That's kind of RSL is the one that we use the most.
Not to be confused with the company name above Pat's head there.
Yeah. They sell
RLS.
Well, I'm gonna mess this up now. RSL sells RLS. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
I need to get Jay. I need to get Dusty up here and let him try out the RLS system, or go down there and let him try it out on something. It's definitely pretty different, but it does a pretty cool job. So it's definitely worth it.
I just did some water lines for a tilt skillet. It's probably 20 foot, so I guess 30 foot in total. But I just had to solder it because I didn't have a press, and I was thinking the whole time, I was like, "Damn it, man!"
You can rent them, man.
That's time for you to get hooked up with Colton and Becca with Viega. With Viga.
Viga, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm waiting on Becca to reach out and start finalizing some stuff. So
it's not time for you to have her reach out to you, Pat. Like,
I know. Oh, no, we've been in talks.
Yeah.
We've been in talks. I'm just waiting on. She's just busy. She's trying to set some stuff up. So
I know the feeling.
Tomorrow. I need to message her tomorrow and see what's up. So we got some comments. I guess I better swing back to that screen and check it out. So we got refrigeration, kitchen tech in the house. We got kitchen cowboy. 5 minutes early and 10 minutes late. If I'm not there yet, finding trash. Yeah. HVACR Brady Bunch. Hey, I'll take it, man. So
So if we start pointing around the screen here, are we the HVAC Brady Bunch tonight?
yeah,
Oh, this way. Oh, my
This-
directional's off.
There you go. It's the
Like,
reverse
what am I
camo.
doing, man?
it's backwards,
What?
man. It gets me every
The
time.
direction's hard on this.
Like, man, over
Notice
there.
Jay's
Like,
not
wait,
pointing.
what?
He knows the game here.
Jason's
That's
like,
right.
whatever, man.
We'll figure it out.
I've never
Yep.
seen Jay so quiet in my life.
Oh, there it is. Got it.
Is he taking a nap like the two of you did apparently on a podcast?
Yeah. So we officially met in person at the HVAC Tactical Awards. So that was a pretty cool night. We were all dressed up. Team Canada was kicking everybody's butt. I managed to squeak one out there. So that's when we all first met, was that night, and then we just kind of hung out, off and on for the next 3 days at the show, and it was a blast. So, but Jay came up, had the bright idea to go find the Make Trades Great Again podcast and take a nap during one of their shows. So we did it. Jay wanted to take a nap at the beginning, and I didn't want to derail it till the very end. So
There's not a lot of places to hang out and have some quiet time and have a little moment of reflection to re-energize the batteries. It's a big show. It's a lot of walking, right? So we found we carved our little spot there at the end.
100%.
yeah, dude.
So go ahead, Pat.
The whole stream from my recording, because I had the second to last podcast slot on Wednesday. So the second to last slot before they close the show down. I'm doing my recording, and it's me and Colton there, my wife, Rebecca, and I think there was a couple of people there. And I was like, hey, we got a great audience of 5 people here, and people are tearing down their booths and everything else. And I'm just cracking up. There's people hauling shit out. I was just glad to have a time slot, because I didn't know, how to book a time slot or anything like that. I just kind of, hey, this is open. You want it? Oh yeah, give it to me. So, but it was cool. It was still a fun experience. But yeah, you definitely got to come next year, Dusty.
I'll be there. I've heard it. I've been ridiculed enough. I'll be there next year.
Backing up to the Tactical Awards, I got to say there was one table that actually cleaned up that night, and that was table 22.
Yeah, our table knocked it out of the park. The best picture is when I was getting to get my awards, and that guy, I don't know who he was that was sitting across from me. He was like jumping in the air, like screaming and stuff. There's a picture of him like jumping in the air behind me as I'm like walking up to the stage. I'm like, I don't even know who that guy was. He was hammered, absolutely hammered.
Man, our boys from like Global The Source that were at our table, those boys were they were well into the sauce that night.
Is that who they were? They were Global The Source?
Global The Source was at our table, and also Mark Tama from GE. He was at our table, but he wasn't. I think he was sitting right beside you, Pat. He wasn't heavy into it, but our boys from Global, they were hitting it hard.
It was a little skinny guy. He was the one that was in the background of my picture, jumping up in the air.
Okay, no, those boys were with Global.
Dude, they were putting them down. That guy was coming back with like 3 or 4 at a time. I was like,
dude,
whoa,
they were
we were
lit.
at the table. We were at the table to party.
Yep. I think I know the guy you're talking about. Skinny, bald dude.
Yeah, like if you scroll through the Tactical Award pictures, he's like, I'm walking up, and he's in the background jumping. He's got his arms up in the air.
Yeah. Man,
I was like, I love that picture. I was like, I don't know.
That dude was inviting Christine, my wife, and myself down to his place in Dunedin, Florida. I'm like, yeah, sure. If you remember the night, maybe we'll talk.
I was a bit more quiet on how many drinks I had. I just hanging out, chatting with so many people. I just like lost track of time to like, oh, I need to go get another drink. You just got hung up talking to everybody, and you'd move on to the next person. It was hard to get to the bar, and the people that were at the bar in line would almost be sidetracked with like to actually order their drink because everyone's just chatting in line. It was really fun to finally put so many names to faces and faces to names of people that you may or may not have spoken to online or may not follow or know, but then to get to actually see them in person was like super fun. Like that was probably my favorite thing of the night, just networking and saying hi to everybody. It was great.
Even at like Tactical and across AHR, you do in 3 days, you can do a year and a bit worth of networking. It's amazing just the number of people that I've chatted with on social for years, where we never had the opportunity to meet, where finally you get to have that face-to-face interaction. So like chatting with Pat for a good bit of time before going down to Atlanta, and with Jay, because although we're Canadian, we're separated between a good bit of distance, to
Just a
say the
little bit,
least.
an entire
just
country.
just a wee
Well,
little bit. But hopefully this summer I'll be out in your neck of the woods, Jay, and you'll be riding through where I'm vacationing, brother.
That sounds good,
We'll
man.
do something up. But being able to just network and make those face-to-face human connections, it's absolutely amazing. And come next year in Chicago, Dusty, like the amount of
well,
people you're going to meet, brother, it's going to be absolutely mind-blasting, and just you're in store for something magical and special, my man.
I'm
It's just
definitely
weird.
stoked.
It's just weird because you talk to people all the time, they're your friends, but you've never really met them in person, and then like you meet them in person, it's just like you've known them for years. It's the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like last year was my first year ever at a trade show like that. Anything. The first year at the Tactical Awards, and I sat down at the table and I looked up, and there was Eric Ani and Andy Mickelson, and I was like starstruck. I was like a little kid, like I was at Disney World and seen Mickey Mouse for the first time. I was like, oh my god, it was the funnest experience. And both those guys talked to me like they'd known me. I was like, and ever since then, I messaged them. I've done their show, and it's like I met Chris Stevens. I followed Chris for years on HVACR videos, and I met him, and like he talked to me like he'd known me for years. Heck, this year we hung out Saturday night, and we went out to dinner, and him, my wife, and me. And we had a great time. It's just like like old friends. It's crazy the community that's been built through this HVAC stuff. I mean, occasionally we got the shitheads that come in here and want to start shit, but most of the time we're all pretty laid back. We're all trying to help each other out. We're all trying to grow and build, and that's the cool thing about what's going on right now with the Instagram community. It's a pretty positive place, uplifting place. Guys are struggling, need help. Everyone's always ready to reach out and help them out. So it's cool.
Yeah. Speaking about cool Instagram communities, above me in this little chat, have you heard this week's campaign and hashtag?
What you got going on, Jay?
Matt started a little hashtag.
It's so Jay at the beginning of the week was about 30 plus followers away from the 1K mark. And last I checked, now it's sitting around about 11 or so, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I'm shy about 15 or so from the 1K
15
mark.
now?
Yeah.
Nice,
And
nice.
some come, some go, but
Yeah.
we're a lot closer. So this week is hashtag get Jay to 1K.
That's funny.
I love it.
It worked.
It's working. We're going to do our damnedest over. If it doesn't happen this week, guess what? It gets rolled over into next week, because hashtag get Jay to 1K needs to happen.
The good news is I ain't going no place. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay. And so people are just going to have to learn to put up with me whether they follow me or not. So
I'm digging all the intros this week, all the promos, man. It's funny. Like I started as just a joke one day, and like I had pretty good feedback, and Jay, was like one of the first people to comment about it. And I was like, I just kept doing it over and over. So now I'm trying to find some other piece of equipment to do it in. It's kind of like my little stick. So
I made a little video to that theme where you just pop your head into a unit or out of something, and I sent it to Pat a few days before the podcast here today. And then I didn't say anything to anybody about it. And then Pat put something together, and then Matt messaged me. He's like, "Oh, I didn't know we were supposed to make a little promo video." And I'm like, "He's like,
it's a little more than that."
I'm like, "No, he didn't ask me. I just did it.
It was more. Damn it, you boys beat me to it.
Same thing with the RLS competition that Pat was so gracious to have Matt and I on his team. Like, I just kind of made a funny video, and then I sent it to Pat. And I'm like, "Hey, you should post this."
It blew up, dude.
And then I sent another one, and then I sent another one, and then he's like, "Okay, I think we should probably go for it."
Paul loved that as well, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's good.
I like Dusty, his tool bag with the zipper. I was trying to figure out because it was dark. I was like, "Where am I at? Where are we at? Where are we at?" Then I zipped the tool bag. I was like, "Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one."
It was in my Vito bag, my MB3B.
After
Sure doesn't
seeing
sound.
the little one that dropped from Jay and Pat, I'm like, you know what? Darn it! I got to do my best impersonation of Pat. And although I don't have a commercial fridge to open up and say, "Oh, hey, there you are,"
Yeah. Yours is
uh,
good too. I liked
I
yours
got
because you had the little subliminal messages in there. You had the Cajun sauce, Cajun
yep.
Joe's
I had
seasoning,
Cajun Joe's
the,
spice.
the Creole mustard.
Yep, that Zataran's Creole mustard that the good boys from HVAC R&D sent over to me, and also had the R&D hat on as well. So it was
Hmm.
kind of a try to pack multiple messages into one little video and see how many people pick up on it
Yeah,
as
riding
well.
riding jumped in today with the hitchhikers, so that was
Oh
That was
nice
a
to
yeah,
good one
see.
too.
He called me earlier. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna put something out." I was like, "Okay, man. I appreciate all the support. Getting the word out there. Um,
yeah, for sure.
it's growing. It's slow, but it's steady. So I'm not complaining. I'm
Yeah,
just enjoying the ride.
that's the thing with social is you're going to go through spurts of rapid growth and spurts of small decline and spurts of steady growth. And I think with my account and with Pat's and now seeing it with Jay's, and I got to jump on following more along what you have going on there, Dusty. But
Yep.
with Jay and with Pat's, it's a slow, steady growth that I'm seeing. It's a slow, steady, organic growth,
Hmm.
and I'm seeing that kind of with mine as well. And that's the kind of stuff that for at least for me in the social media world, it speaks to people gaining traction and people wanting to stick around to see the content that you're putting out, as opposed to all of a sudden you acquire 10,000 followers right off the bat. It's
Mm.
like, how many of those are actually legitimate people who actually want to see what you do and invest in what you do?
I'm
Yeah.
not set up physically to have that happen. If you know what I mean. For some of these accounts to just blow up overnight. I'm like, oh, you had 700 followers 3 days ago, and now you're like 10K. But
Some of
Mhm.
I
those
get,
accounts that start at that and then all of a sudden blow up, like they're once in a blue moon
oh
kind
yeah.
of things. But others that do that, they're paying for that, man.
But most of them are
Yeah.
hot chicks, is what I'm getting at.
I don't think any of us got that aspect going on for
Yeah,
us. Maybe
no,
Jay
that's what I
does.
said. Yep. Let's talk about a little bit of work. So I'm gonna start with Jay. Jay, what all do you work on day to day? I've seen some of your stuff, and it's all kind of different. Like I've seen you do some refrigeration, some HVAC. So you kind of do a little mixed bag of everything.
Yeah, it's even changed throughout the years. I'm kind of a unique cat. I've been with my employer since I was an apprentice, so I've been there for over 15 years. And when I started there, we were really small, so we didn't say no to any work. So I've worked in lots of commercial kitchens, from working on like the makeup airs and the exhaust fans to working on the refrigeration stuff, whether it's an ice machine, a cooler. My favorite was an Italian gelato machine where everything was in Italian. I had no idea how to read the wiring diagram. It was a nightmare. Um,
Boy.
and so from there, I used to do a little bit of residential back in the day, and now in the last few years, I'm a foreman. There's about 12 or 14 of us on the tools, all awesome guys, and we do a lot of. We have a little install crew that do installs and TIs and re-and-re's and stuff like that, and then I'm on the service side. We do any and everything from multi-million BTU boilers, makeup airs, air conditioners, dehumidifiers. My favorite stuff to work on, to be honest, is probably clean labs.
Mm.
Their stuff, when it breaks, there's no, oh, come tomorrow and we'll approve the quote next week after someone reviews it. There's an urgency to like look after the equipment, and if something goes down, that we're gonna get this looked after right away, and we're gonna get it taken care of. And it's usually a fairly clean environment as well. And there's lots of really cool stuff that goes along with maintaining like a nice clean line of temperature, a nice clean line of humidity, a nice clean line of space pressure, so that like the process, whatever it might be, whether it's pharmaceutical or manufacturing, can be the same set of conditions every day.
That's cool. That's cool. I've never done any clean room work or anything like that, but I mean that sounds like it'd be pretty neat. I'm always intrigued by like the more difficult the stuff is, the harder it is to work on. Or I mean, it may just be that way because I don't do it, but it's like it always intrigues me and like I want to learn it. So that'd be pretty cool. I seen some of the blower wheel you were tearing apart this week and some other stuff. I'm like, oh, what's that go on? So
That's a tiny unit.
it's a tiny
Small little pool dehum unit, if I'm not
That's
mistaken.
right. I was wondering if you were going to snipe that out there, Matt. Yeah, it was a Dectron.
Yeah, the company there we go. There's my pointing ability. Company I work for is a rep firm for a select line of you want to say higher end HVAC products, niche HVAC products. So back in the day, they actually used to rep Dectron, and now they rep a different brand, Soresco. So basically, Dectron, Soresco, and Pool Pack are all owned by the same company. So back in the day, the units were different, but now they've been amalgamated under a single manufacturer. So really, the only difference is a sticker nowadays. But in the indoor pool environment, you need a pool dehumidifier. You need a way to control that environment, that natatorium. So you need to tightly control your relative humidity in the space and control your sensible temperature as well. So pool environments work on kind of like a Goldilocks principle. So let's say you're maintaining your swimming pool at 80 degrees Fahrenheit, just for argument's sake. Well, you want that air in the space to be at least 82, because when people walk into that environment in their swim attire, you don't want them to be cold. But when they get into the water, you want that to be a little bit colder, so they're like, oh, this is nice and refreshing. I can swim around, do my thing. Then when they get out of the water, you want that air and that humidity to be controlled. You want that air to be a bit warmer, so you're controlling the evaporative humidity, the evaporative cooling effect off their skin, so they don't really get cold. So kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, with that porridge being just right. Indoor pool environments, it's a fine science of making it just right. And one big thing for making it just right, like what Jay was doing, is making sure you got air movement, man. If that blower ain't moving air, there's no way to control that humidity and that temperature.
Yeah, no doubt. I used to work on some pool dehums for like small, I say small houses. They're pretty big houses, but they had small pools actually inside the house.
Yeah.
And so not only is what Matt just described really important, but if their pool dehumidifier stops working, the drywall starts peeling off the ceilings and the walls and stuff like that within like a day or so. So it's like there's a bit of urgency to make sure that stuff's looked after.
That's crazy.
Like,
So
place I was on this week, well, 2 days ago, I was repairing a residential site that has two indoor pool units for the facility. It's a 2-story indoor pool environment. The second story of this environment has a walking track around it. So very large for a residential facility. It's a pretty big pool natatorium. So they got probably a combined, let's see, they got probably about 25 tons worth of pool, cooling and dehum capacity for this. Like the pool room on this house mansion was about, just the pool room itself was about 3,500 square feet. So you can fit 2-3 of my houses in this one pool room, let alone the house itself.
Yeah. I had to derail it there for a minute.
But
Poor
Joel,
He's like, dang, and I'm over here just trying to make sure the fries come out crispy.
I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, man.
And then going from that mansion that I was working on, restoring that pool dehum unit. I've worked on pool dehum units that serve Olympic-sized pools. HVAC know-it-all, Gary and myself were working on one of these custom units that we had to replace, half of the fan wall grid on. It was fun times, and it's a unique appliance that not many people ever get to see or get alone work on.
Yeah, I'm always intrigued by the stuff you post. Like, I had an Aon unit years ago on a restaurant, and it was like a base model. It was like, I thought it was a piece of garbage. I mean, and then I see the Aon
A
units.
lot
You're
of
working
people do.
like it was like they're like every other brand. You got baseline stuff, and like the stuff I seen was just the baseline. I was like, man, this thing's a turd. It was old and beat up. And then I see the stuff you post. I'm like, holy cow, they have like top of the line crazy stuff. I'm like, how do they make this and that? I'm like, it makes no sense at all.
Well, to be fair, the product that you went to, Pat, it's probably a decent entry level Aon unit that has been neglected.
Oh yeah, they're always neglected.
These things they're built above and beyond your standard chiclet units. So Aon, it's on the hat. It's one of the other product lines that the rep firm I work for, sells and represents. And realistically speaking, that's why I came to work for the company I work for currently, is because I had done 3 and a bit years worth of subcontracted startups with them through the company I worked for previously before stuff went wrong where I was at, to then make the easy decision to go work where I am right now, to work full time as a commissioning technician and doing warranty repair on the products they rep. And probably over 80% of my work is on the product line on my hat. So these things they're built to be a 30-year unit, believe it or not.
That's crazy.
The walls on them, like the actual shell of the unit, they're R13 insulated. It's a walk-in box sitting on a roof. You're not losing efficiency out of the damn thing when it's in, whatever mode of operation it's in. If it's been neglected and abused over the years, yeah, you're going to lose efficiency and performance out of it. And, some of the stuff I work on, you want to call it upper level Aon stuff, maybe. Like, I'm blessed and lucky to work on the products I work on. It's, great to actually work on the stuff I work on. It's a product line that on the small end of things, you're looking at like a 3-ton cooling capacity unit. And, some of the bigger stuff I worked on, 240 tons worth of cooling capacity on a rooftop unit. They're the size of a long school bus.
That's nuts. That's insane.
The one I was working on a makeup air unit today for the little post I put out this morning. It was a cool, crisp day. We're working on the heating side of some makeup air units I was on maybe a year ago to commission. We had to iron out some small little things on them. And, the one that I got thrown on this morning, it was 75 tons of cooling capacity, makeup air unit, VFD compressors, 2 Danfoss VFDs, and a tandem set of on-off Danfoss, and 2 million BTUs of indirect fired makeup air unit heating. It's a nice little unit to play with.
I love that kind of stuff, Matt.
That's crazy.
I want to ask Dusty a question.
Go ahead.
Ask away, man.
So, have you heard of the joke, like how many electricians does it take to change a light bulb?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so here's another one. So how many refrigeration mechanics or heating and cooling professionals does it take to change a thermostat or inspect a thermostat?
Oh my gosh.
It depends. Are we at the Vega party?
Are we sober?
Yeah, we might not be. We might not be on that one.
Do we have Robert from PE HVAC, chirping in on it as well?
Yeah.
So here's
a loaded
the
question.
story
It's
there.
like, what's the backstory?
We're all hanging out at the Vega party on the Tuesday night, and the back of the restaurant was like really warm, and then eventually we dawned on ourselves to like, let's do some investigative journalism here and find out why this sucker's not cooling. And so there's a old Honeywell thermostat on the wall, and it's got duct tape like in multiple spots, like 4-foot sections of duct tape holding this thing on the wall, and the screen's blank. There's nothing. There's no one home on that one. So I think it might have been me. I think I pulled it off, was the first one to pull it off and, inspect the pins where it receives into the base of the thermostat. And we discovered that the base of the thermostat where the pins click in, it was broken. So we were able to fix that part of it. But I guess when someone tried to push it in before and put the tape on it, it broke the pins. So it was after several minutes, and I don't know, there was at least 20 mechanics back there telling us how to take this thermostat on and off the wall. We determined that it was not going to, it was not repairable whatsoever. But I think every single time a new person joined the back of the restaurant, they determined that they were the one. Look out of my way. I know how to replace a thermostat and inspect the thermostat. You guys don't know what you're doing. Just get out of the way. There was Tool Pros was back there. Colton was back there. The three of us are back there. There was HVAC was going nuts. He was like, no, here's what you got to do. Look out of my way, guys. Look out of my way.
As long as he didn't have his whistle, I don't care.
I'll answer Dave's question in just a second.
All right. I just want to make sure you've seen Dave's question. So
yeah. So to answer Dave's question, all purchasing of AHR equipment and also AHR parts will need to go through your local AHR rep. So if you're in my neck of the woods in Toronto, Canada, you're going through, pointing abilities again, you're going through this company to inquire about purchasing new equipment and parts for the equipment. If you're in a different neck of the woods, you're going to have to find out who your local AHR rep firm is and inquire with them about replacement equipment and replacement parts. Hope that helps out, brother.
Yeah, that thermostat was pretty funny. I walked by, I could barely see straight. I was like, it's still off, and I just left.
I think we reached to the collective agreement that we were going to leave Jay standing there holding the thermostat with one hand to actually get the screen to illuminate and actually power up properly.
I would have done it if it would have cooled down the back of the restaurant, because the fan did turn on and the backlight would come on for short periods of time, but then it would just fizzle out because all those pins were loose because they had been jammed into the receiver of the base. So they were no coming back from that. There was a chef at one point that walked by and he was all curious, like, what are you guys doing to the thermostat? And we're like, don't worry, we got you. Like, it's in your best interest that we have a look at this. We know what we're doing. We're HVAC and HVAC professionals. Step away.
That place was packed, man.
Yeah.
Dude, when I got there, we got there after we went to the RLS party for a little bit, and we went there. By the time I got there, everybody was already in rare form. And it was like, I seen the front, and I didn't realize there was a hallway that went back to that back room. Then went back there, and I was like, holy smokes, there's people back here packed in here. It was absolutely insane. So,
not to mention they had a decent spread of food in the back there, man.
I stole one of the props on accident. So I did the photo booth up front, and I stuck it in my pocket to grab a different prop. And I'm walking around later that night, and I'm like, I get this prop in my back pocket. I'm like, man, I could at least stole a good one. But yeah, that's another part of AHR. Dusty, you'll get to experience. There's parties all these different manufacturers, these vendors have events, and they bring they bring all the reps in, but they also bring in the social media or the people the influencers they want to call it. I don't really like that word. I don't influence nobody, but they have people like us come in and they have food and have drinks, they have giveaways and stuff. And it's just a cool environment. And I wish
a more appropriate word, Pat. I don't like the term social media influencer as well. Similar mindset to you, and I know Gary is of the same mindset. Mm-hmm. Social media personality, I think, is more appropriate. Really, we are our own personalities. We are our own brands. In an essence, the HVAC doctor, for lack of a better term, is a social media brand. Commercial Kitchen Chronicles is a social media brand. Hashtag get HVAC J604 to 1K. HVAC J604 is a brand. Dusty, your page, it's a brand.
Yeah, he just had a name change, so
I did.
I can't remember what Dusty's page is. My apologies.
I think it's a couple weeks ago I finally changed. I was messing around with names, and I went through such a phase of I would post for a little bit, and I'd either get burned out on work and just be like, I don't even want to post it. But recently I've been trying to, push that up a little bit. So I went with the name, changed it. I was just like thinking, I was like, man, what's something simple? Just use my name and then kitchen tech.
Yeah.
Because everything else was so long. It was like, food service equipment repair. And I'm like, damn it, no, that's never going to work. So
Yeah, mine used to be like kitchen underscore HVAC underscore repair. And then I did the Make Trades Great Again podcast. And I kind of got bullied into changing my name to match the podcast name. So, so that's why I changed my name. So,
was the podcast already named Commercial Kitchen?
Yeah, the podcast was always named that. And I was still going by my kitchen underscore HVACR underscore repair. And and Eric's like, this is too confusing. Just change your name. I was like,
okay. Just be the same. Keep it the same.
It worked out. So, Matt, you got the HVAC doctor name. A lot of people don't know the story behind there. I've heard it, but you have a condensed down version of how you got that name?
I'll try to give the crash course version that I've been given. So, the name, the HVAC doctor, in terms of the social media handle, all aspects of the name are actual fact and reality. So I'm the HVAC. I'm a licensed HVAC, refrigeration, air conditioning system mechanic, licensed gas fitter one in the province I work in. I can work on any BTU input appliance. Now the doctor part, that's where some people get confused.
Yeah.
So some people think, he's an HVAC doctor. Oh, he goes around and doctors up and fixes HVAC. No, the doctor part's also true as well. So I've spent 14 years of post-secondary education to get a PhD in developmental cognitive neuroscience.
Damn.
And then people think, well, pardon the French, oh shit, what are you doing in the HVAC industry? Well, partway through my PhD, there was a fundamental change in the way that the academic world operated. So I would have been left without a job as trying to be a university professor. So I had always worked in the skilled trade since I was like 12 years old. My uncle's a master carpenter. And, as I was wrapping up my PhD, I went back into carpentry. And, don't get me wrong, I love doing woodworking. I love carpentry. But for a living, it's not something I want to do. It's not something that gives me enough challenge and motivation. So I stumbled around in the skilled trades for a little bit and stumbled into this crazy, wacky, wonderful world of HVAC. And man, once I got in it, I haven't looked back, because on a daily, it keeps my mind occupied, keeps me going. It's what drives me to do what I do each and every single day. How's that for a condensed version, Pat?
That works.
Nice.
That works.
Nice.
That's the same thing with me, man. I like variety. I like being challenged, and what I do provides that challenge. And so I just try to do as many things as possible, and it kind of just feeds my mind. So I get it. I like it.
You hit on something there, Pat, like that whole challenge. Like every single day for me is different.
Yes.
That was huge for me.
Love
like, I didn't yes, it kind of sucks because you got to know a lot, but it makes it more interesting that, I might be fixing something water related tomorrow and then gas related the next day. And you got to know a little bit about electrical and millwrighting and carpentry. You got to know a little bit about all of it to make it all work. Especially when you're installing something or servicing something, to know how the building was built so that you can actually work on the equipment effectively is huge. And so that's why I kind of fell in love with this trade as well. I just, even from a young age, before I was an apprentice, I kind of thought like, this is kind of the one for me, because it's kind of a little bit of everything, right? And I certainly haven't regretted a single day since, that's for sure.
Yeah, my journey's kind of been, I started with electrician, and I transitioned over to the hot side, and I wanted to do refrigeration, and now I'm trying to venture into the teaching side, training side, and it's always trying to do something different, always trying to be better, always trying to learn new stuff. And I think Dusty did the same thing. He kind of started off one part, and he's kind of like added more and more and more into it. And it's fun.
Yeah, and that's what I did. I used to do like building and home automation, and it was kind of just got to the point where everything was the same. There was no change, almost no challenge, because it's just kind of like mundane. And then I left that job because I didn't want to travel anymore. Went to HVAC. I did it for like a year, and it was almost like every day was something different in so many different ways. And now that I do hot side equipment, Pat knows. I mean, it's extremely different. Like the variety here is insane. You know, you'll work on 5 different, piece of equipment in one kitchen in one day. And I think that just helps me drive, and, it helps you not get, catch like a blunder, or nothing gets mundane. So that's a big blessing in itself.
For sure. I
Yeah.
gotta put a little bit of pun out on the commercial kitchen equipment side. So there was a facility that the HVAC foodie and I met on when I was working with a previous company, where we met for him to commission the engineered air equipment. And once I left the company I was with at the time when I met him, went to the company I'm with right now. When I first started, we also did commissioning and startup for commercial kitchen exhaust systems, Spring Air. I don't know if Spring Air makes it down into your guys' neck of the woods or not. They're kind of an Ontario brand. They make very good exhaust hood systems. So we got sent out to the same facility to work on commissioning the Spring Air system for their kitchen in this facility, and going around looking at the different exhaust or the different kitchen equipment. They had a whole bunch of Cleveland brand equipment, and they had a steamer on that.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate name.
That's a very unfortunate name.
They make great products, but man, that name is so unfortunate. They had that name. They had that name before that probably came about, so it just kind of it is what it is. But man, I've worked on a lot of Cleveland steamers in my life, man.
Every time I saw that, I was chuckling like a little.
Oh, I still do,
girl, man.
I still do. I've been doing this 17 years, and every time I see a Cleveland steamer, I laugh.
Yeah,
I saw it on a work order for the first time, and it just said Cleveland Steamer, and I was like, "What the?" I was like, "What am I getting into?"
April 1st or not? Yeah, you're like, who's trying to get me here?
It's like, what's going on?
Yeah,
it's unfortunate name, great product.
Yeah,
Pat said, but man, I can't believe they went with that.
Well, like I said, I think they had the name first before that came out. So,
and it's not a Cleveland
that
Steamer.
It's pretty old, so I don't know. We got to go back in history here, maybe do a little research.
Well, Cleveland Range is the company that makes it. They used to be based in Cleveland, Ohio, and then it's just the products of steamers. But yeah, so it's just kind of like no one thought about it or knew about it.
No, someone did. Someone pushed that by like the R&D. They're like, don't say nothing. Don't say anything.
Let's see what happens.
He was about to quit. He was like, just that's it. Approved.
So now that we bridge that, we know we won't have a sponsor for commercial kitchen equipments from Cleveland Equipment.
That's funny. That's great. But no, there's a I work on a lot of Garland Range, and it's made up in I think Missile. I can't read. It's up in Ontario somewhere.
Mississauga,
yes.
Yep.
So they're based out of there. They're made up there. So I do a lot of work for them. Actually, that's what I'm running first thing in the morning is a grill. But yeah, so they're made up there. I've been trying to go up there and tour the facility, but I'll probably never get to go up there.
Come on
Garland
up. That's
Yep.
out where the company I work for. That's where our office is. So you make the trek up here, Pat, and we'll definitely hook up, brother.
Nice. I'll keep pushing the issue then.
Beautiful. Make it happen.
You guys got to come up to CMPX after Chicago next year.
100%.
There you go.
Was that up in your neck of the woods, or?
That's in my neck of the woods, up in Toronto.
Okay.
So CMPX is kind of like AHR Super Light. It's our Canadian version of CMPX. So CMPX would fit in. Remember in Atlanta, the bridging hallway between the two big halls?
Yeah.
CMPX would kind of fit in that bridging hallway.
That's funny.
But it's small, but it's big enough, but small, where you can really make those meaningful connections with the different manufacturers and the different social media personalities that are going to be there as well.
Yeah, the thing about like AHR is like some of those booths are freaking huge. I mean, this will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars just on a booth and like the setup in the booth. It's crazy. You can walk around some booths for like 10, 15 minutes and not see everything in that booth.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the other brands that the company I work for, they had a booth down there, Condair Nortec. So they make steam humidifiers. And man, like their booth, they had a bit of an unfortunate location for their booth. But all the products they had there, man, I could have spent hours on hours just going through the equipment and going through everything there. I had a targeted way to go to that particular booth to meet with someone in particular, which was great to do so. But yeah, man, you can spend so much time at different booths down there, like what you're saying, Pat.
Yeah, and then if you drive, you can take all the freebies. If you fly, you got to watch out.
I
Everywhere you
came
go,
down with a couple. I came
If
down
you're
with a couple
flying
guys from work, so
international.
we tactically brought some suitcases with us on the way to Atlanta. So like they weren't really full on the way down, but they were. Let me tell you, they were bursting at the seams on the way back with the cool backpacks that we grabbed from the tactical awards and other T-shirts and swag and little knickknacks and stuff that you picked up along the show, right?
when I went to Vegas, I drove to Atlanta, but went to Vegas. I had a big suitcase and I had a smaller suitcase in it to have all our clothes. When we flew back, I just threw all the swag and the suitcases from and the bags from the Tactical Award Show and the other suitcase. So I had 2 suitcases to bring back. So
And
I
I
thought
gotta
ahead.
say, just even going to the tactical awards, the amount of stuff that I was carrying out of that place, I needed another dang suitcase.
Yeah, legit.
Yeah. So Kitchen Cowboy says with the sale of Wellville, I heard a lot of the manufacturing and parts support are moving back to their original locations. Just a rumor. Yeah, I heard the same thing. I heard the kitchen carrier may be going away, and it may just be going back to the individual locations. So we'll see what happens with that. So that'll affect me
Who bought
investing.
them? Was that
Uh,
Ollie?
Ali Group, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
See, they announced they were sold to one company before it went through, and like all of a sudden it backed out, and then next thing you know, Ollie Group bought them, but Ollie Group came with cash, so cash is king.
We got a well-built kitchen care down here in Jeff.
Yeah, that's the kitchen case in Jeffersonville. Yep, it's right down there by
Yep.
you. It's,
Oh.
I think it's gonna go away probably.
Now, if I'm not
Oh, man.
mistaken, Pat, weren't you working on some Hussman equipment recently?
Oh yeah, I destroyed the Hushman equipment yesterday.
Yeah, man. That's another place you got to hit up coming out to Mississauga. Their plant's up here too.
So what happened was there was 3 8-foot cases. Each case had 2 evaporators, 2 condensing units, and they were top mount. And when the company sold them, they told them that this should be a remote mount, and they said no, we want them on top. Well, the problem was there was no airflow up there. They had grills up there, had it covered off. It was killing compressors. It was literally like a compressor would die like every month. And so they tried putting in returns up there, and they put different grills in to try to suck air through there, and it didn't help. I was measuring discharge temperatures out of a compressor like 300 degrees. I'm like, this oil is smoked.
Whoa.
You're
300 degrees.
You're carbonating that oil right away, man.
Oh, dude, it was trash. And the compressors kept dying, so they had us take out one section and make it smaller, and they were hoping that the air coming would flow around it and get up there. And like literally, we took out the middle section and butted 2 ends back together, so it was like a 16-foot section. And we fired it up, and the next day one of the compressors died. I was just like, and I was measuring temperatures, and it was still stupid hot. And eventually, they got sick of dumping money into this. These things were like not even 3 years old, and
Wow.
we cut them out. So I pulled all the refrigerant out of them. We just cut everything out of them. We pushed them out into the dining hall, and then they had a company come in and cut them up and haul them off for scrap.
They didn't have the option to go water source on them?
Not there. No, it's a super old building. That probably would have worked out. Currently, they're using like Pepsi, like just Pepsi HC hydrocarbon refrigerant coolers, but the condensing units are on the bottom on the ground, so it's sucking air off the ground. 70-degree air versus being trapped up in recycling air. You got to think those things were closed in, drywalled with trim, and there were 6 condensing units up there just recycling air nonstop. And just, dude, it was just murdered, man.
That's just a hot supper of death up there.
Dude, you'd walk by and you'd hear them just shutting off because they had the temperature sensors on the discharge lines, and the company before us moved the temperature sensors somewhere else because they were all tripping out.
They're probably still tripping out on the liquid line.
Dude, it was terrible, dude. You'd walk by and you click, you hear them shut off, and they'd just all be cycling off on high temp, like this is stupid.
Oh, and if
I
not
think you
that,
talked
they
about that a
cycle on
couple weeks ago.
internals.
Yeah, it was. So that was $125,000 in cases we threw away.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, but
I think that's the best way to put it, Jay.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
That's unfortunate.
They were murdered, man. It wasn't the case's fault. It was
No.
another instance where a salesman sold somebody and put something where they shouldn't have done it. I mean, we all run into that. I mean, it's just part of it. Unfortunately, in our world, they try jamming as much equipment under a pre-existing hood or a pre-existing gas line. You know, they've got a million BTUs rated of gas line there, but they're trying to run 1.75 million BTUs or 2 million BTUs off of it. And they wonder why stuff's kicking out and pilots are going out and stuff. I'm like, you can't do this, guys. I mean, it's not designed for this. Just because it fits doesn't mean it ships. I mean, this isn't UPS.
Exactly. Hey, you don't have the proper engineered capacity for what you're trying to run there. Shit ain't gonna work right.
Every day, man. Every day. I walk into the kitchen, I'm like, yeah, this ain't supposed to be here.
And you see it a lot too. Like if a customer wants to change from one type of equipment to another, and they just get a sales rep out there, or they call, they order the equipment and have it shipped out, and they're like, "Oh, come install this." It's like, I can't. And like sometimes they just don't understand. Like it's not built for that. It's not engineered for that. And then you have to fight that battle. And then there's so many other taglines that go behind it.
I was fighting it last week. So there's a set of combi ovens I was trying to install. And they bought them with the intention of going under a hood, and they had these disappearing doors. So the doors open and slide beside there and go away, and they're out of the way, so people aren't running into them and stuff. And it at least kept running to snag to snag to snag. And I went to go, I had to pull the top unit off because they come in the factory pre-stacked, and I had to put a different stack kit on it. And my son was like, "This won't go on here. I can't get to these screws." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "This door's in the way." I was like, I looked, and I was like, "We can't even put this hood on here. It's not made for this." So I called the factory, and they're like, "No, you can't put a hood on a unit with disappearing doors because the way it's made, it won't set up there flush." And the customer's like, "Just cut the hood." I was like, "I'm not cutting a $12,000 hood because it's not going to work, and then you're going to yell at me." I'm like, "No." So I don't know what's going on with that still. That was last Friday. I talked to the manufacturer's lead service guy, and he's like, "I think we're going to ship the ovens out." I was like, "Just ship new ones to me, and I'll get these old ones, and we'll figure it out." But it's just a freaking nightmare, dude.
That stuff ain't cheap either to buy a new one of those things, right? Like that stuff's meant to last forever. They're meant to be used and abused, so they're made pretty rigid.
Well,
No
it's
pun
weird.
intended, given Pat's hat.
Yeah, the kitchen world's different, man. So they life cycle most equipment at 7 years. So if you get 7 to 10 years out of equipment, they consider that it's paid for itself and it's done its deal. So, but like it just depends on the environment. You go to schools. And I've got schools that still have equipment that was made in the 50s and still use it. But then you go in a restaurant and you see a unit that's a year old and looks like it's 20 years old and just beat to shit.
Yeah.
It all comes down to how the customer treats it. I mean, it's the same thing you guys deal with. It's the customer doesn't take care of it, or it's abused or not installed properly, it doesn't last.
The big difference from up here to down there, though, that I've seen talking to some U.S. techs is, hey, Jay, remember our CFQ exam, the good old Carrier 48DD?
Yep.
Where we talk as if it's a dinosaur and we don't find it anymore. Well, my buddy Rocky, he still finds that unit all over the United States.
Wow.
Still up and running. Again, like units from the 60s and 50s, still operating perfectly fine. Well, fine. Once they get in there and do what they need to do to them, right?
Yeah. That's funny. So you guys done anything cool this week or anything crazy you worked on?
Got diverted away from a site that sent 15 people to hospital today.
That sounds like a fun time.
As a production facility for what do they do there? Well, they produce different deli meats. And unfortunately, they had an ammonia leak. And that ammonia leak sent 15 employees to hospital in various states of critical and non-critical condition. So hopefully everybody, that was exposed makes it out okay. And luckily, I was just en route to the site. I was about half hour away from getting there when I got the notice. So I was, in the kind of east end of Toronto. And this site is out near Hamilton, West End, so about hour and a half from where I was. So I was a half hour from getting to site when I got rediverted back out east to a school that I had to do some repairs on. So thankfully I got diverted. Thankfully I wasn't there when all this happened. But as Mike Mayberry says, work safe, play safe, be safe.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Ammonia is no joke. It attacks the moisture. So like in your lungs, in your eyes, everything. So like you lose all ability to do all the things, man. It's no joke.
Yeah, I don't know if either yourself, Pat, or you, Dusty, been hit with ammonia.
Mm-mm.
I have not.
It's
No.
so the closest thing I can equate it to. What about yourself, Jay? You ever been hit with ammonia?
No, and we don't go anywhere near ammonia. Not
Yeah.
anywhere close to it. We have a special restrictions that limit, like if you're going to be in an ammonia mechanical room, you have to have like a escape respirator and a whole bunch of extra training, and we let the other companies deal with that.
Yep.
100%.
I don't play with ammonia. In our neck of the woods, we have a saying: ammonia mechanics are born and bred. You don't wake up saying, "I want to be an ammonia mechanic." You do ammonia refrigeration because your father, your mother did ammonia refrigeration. You're born into doing and working on that stuff. Ammonia mechanics are a different breed.
Yeah.
Now, I've been hit with ammonia, like being vented in a facility. I was once working on a community center, and access to the roof to the equipment I was working on was through the ammonia chiller. And there was a mechanic there working on the ammonia chiller, and he was purging. His bucket wasn't filled with water. He was just purging right into the rooms. I walked in, and it was like getting hit in the damn chest and getting all the air pushed out of your lungs, and you were fighting for air. Another spot that I got, I don't want to say dosed, but exposed to mild levels of ammonia was in a gold mine. So gold mines, I was working in the extraction mill where they extract the ore, the gold ore, from what they're mining. And what they use to extract the gold out of it is ammonia and cyanide.
Oh,
So I was commissioning equipment where, we were in the extraction mill. So it was like, again, getting punched in the lung and the air sucked out of you for the day. And that stuff stays in your clothes, man. So like for
Yeah.
the next 2 days, like it was just my clothes, my tools just reeked of it. It's like working in, I don't know if you guys have ever worked in any medicinal marijuana production facilities.
Yeah, I was
Those
just going to say that
The
stuff.
smell of those plants
Oh,
stay for days on
we
days.
had a company rule, Matt. Like if you got a call to and our medicinal marijuana companies knew it. Like if we come there, we're not coming there for like a 2-hour job. Like we're there all day because I
Yep.
can't go to another site after I've been there. And it takes time when you're done to wipe down all your tools, change your clothes because everything reeks. Even your credit cards or driver's license in your wallet will smell.
I think
That's
I've
No,
told you
bad.
this
seriously,
story,
it's
Jay.
you're.
I was, I
I
was
had a
on one
set.
of those. Sorry, go ahead.
I
I'll
had a
tell you the
site
story
and they
after.
had dehumidifiers like spread out all through the grow room is how they did it. They didn't have units on the outside of the grow room. So you had to like enter the grow room and depending on what stage the plants were at, would dictate how much room you have between the aisles. When the plants got really big, you literally had to like wade through the plants.
Yeah.
I'm serious. And
So
so,
it's like the pollen from the marijuana
oh
place.
man, everything.
It's like-
I would leave my tool bag at the front door and then I would just take what minimal like hand tools I needed because I couldn't take my whole bag there because the canvas would just like absorb all the pores of this stuff. And you'd wipe it down and it would, even then you'd wipe it down, your inside your truck would just reek.
Oh yeah.
It was a lot. We
Yeah.
don't look after them anymore and I'm honestly don't miss them at all. They were a lot of walking, so much security. You'd have to park in one specific spot and then you have to walk around the facility to enter like a lock gate and do the badges and the safety things, and it was a lot of work.
Yeah, it's not only safety going through there, like your ride home can be interesting, shall I say?
Get pulled
I
over.
once, I
It's a search.
yeah, I once got called out to a medical grow op facility on around Christmas, New Year's time. So I was doing my drive home after repairing what I needed to repair, and yeah, I reeked of the product. and I was getting off the highway at my local off ramp to cut into where I live, and there was a ride program. So you roll down the window, like I'm in a service vehicle, a marked service vehicle, and the officer's like, have you had anything, to consume tonight? Any alcohol or any other substances? Like, no, sir, I haven't. Why do you reek the way you? Why do you smell like marijuana? Because I was working on a medical marijuana facility. Are you sure, sir? No, I'm just making up the story to try to get past you. What do you think?
Yeah.
Like,
I have a few instances where
here's
I
my
was,
dispatch.
yeah.
Literally, here's the picture of my electronic dispatch of where I was. Do you want to call the facility right now?
I've been downtown Vancouver where all the clubs are, and you get to a service call in the middle of the morning, basically, and you're on your way home at like 3, 4 in the morning when all the clubs are closing in the summertime, and you go through a checkpoint, and I'm like, in a marked work truck, tired, work closed, the whole 9 yards, and you put down your window, and they're like, honestly, every single time I've been through them, they're just like, go ahead. They're like, oh, this guy's working, he's good to go. So like, not that I would ever dabble in anything, because it's really important that you don't. But like, the joke was, if you ever need to have a drink, you just go take the work truck downtown, then you're good to go, right?
So I know how we're partying in Vancouver with Jay now.
Yeah, right. Man, I'm old. I just have a little shot of whiskey or bourbon, and it's night time after that, man.
And night time at 8:30 p.m.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I've kind of been off the whiskey for a little bit. I got to where I was wanting it too much, so like, I do the same thing with cigars. Like I get to where I want them too much, and I just like lay off it for a little bit.
For sure, absolutely. Knowing when to cut back and rein it in, it's definitely a good thing, my man.
He's still got the dog.
Oh, he keeps on squeaking like every 10 minutes. He's a codependent little puppy, this one.
How old
What
is
kind
he?
of dog is that? Is that a?
He is 13 years old. He is a Havanese Yorkie.
Oh,
When my wife and I started dating and we bought a house together, my wife wanted, or my girlfriend at the time, I guess she wanted a dog, and I severely did not want a dog. And well, I'll give you a hint. We kind of got a dog. Before kids, I had nothing but time to do fun stuff. I'd go fishing all the time. So I was kind of like, well, if you're going to get a dog, can we get like at least a medium-sized dog? So when I go river fishing for salmon, he doesn't get like whooshed away in the current of the river. And no, we got this little guy here. So outvoted
not much
on
of a fisher.
pretty much everything.
Welcome to marriage.
Yeah. I took him to the river once when I was younger, and that was enough for me. He was not having it.
I need to go out and go fishing, man. That sounds like a blast.
Oh, dude, the fishing on the West Coast out here is amazing. I've been several times for fishing for sturgeon on the Fraser River. So basically, you just kind of a nice little jet boat on the Fraser River, and you toss out your baits and you catch sturgeon, which are anywhere between like little juveniles or tiny, but the big ones will be 8, 9, 10 feet long. They're basically dinosaurs.
Yep.
The outside scoops of their fins are like razor blades, especially when they're juveniles. It's the only defense they have against like seals and stuff like that, which is their basically only predator. It's really fun.
I'm surprised you didn't break out the tagline there, Jay.
Which one's that?
West Coast.
West Coast, best coast. That's right. I'm saving it for the end. We got all the salmon fisheries and stuff, man. It's a great place to be. Like, it's expensive to live here, but like I couldn't live anywhere else. Like, we got mountains, rivers, oceans. It's literally everything.
Are you in Vancouver?
Yeah.
I lived in Seattle, Washington for a little bit. And I was planning on, while I was out there, making the trek up and going to Vancouver, but I never went through all the processes to do that. But I hear that's a great part of Canada, because that part of America is nice. Like, Seattle's pretty nice. Like, you have the fish market, the fishings and stuff as well. So it's kind of that, but more northern.
We used to go before kids. We used to go down to Seattle and hang out at Pike Place Market in downtown all the time.
Yeah,
and
Pike Place.
We
you get
still
a fish
go down.
Thrown at you?
Pardon me?
Did you catch a fish? Like when they throw the fish in the market?
Yeah, well, not. I haven't. I've been there to watch them chuck those halibuts across the hall, but I haven't actually done it myself. No. Oh. We take our daughters down to like the zoo in Seattle. There, it's kind of a nice little zoo that they have down there as well.
Yeah, that's a nice place.
The
Oh, I love it.
aquarium up in Vancouver, that's something special there.
It used to be a lot better. We used to have a lot of cool stuff, but it's not.
Yep.
It's kind of tiny. It's not as good as like the one out in Toronto or in other places as well. But it is
Like
a nice little spot though, for sure.
Ripley's aquarium is okay where I am, but this is going back. Gosh, how many years now? It's got to be at least 6-7 years since I've been out to Vancouver. So that kind of puts a time frame around when I really appreciated and liked the aquarium. Then I'm sure a lot of things have changed
Yeah,
in
yeah,
that
it's a great
time
place.
span, but just their education and preserving nature policies that they have at the Vancouver Aquarium were something that was really special and something that a lot of aquariums should aspire to.
Yeah. Yeah, I've ridden my motorcycle all down around Washington and Seattle as well, down where you used to be, Dusty, and Highway 20 over to all the cool little cowboy towns and the Bavarian town, Leavenworth and Twist.
Yep.
All that kind of stuff. It's really cool places to ride your motorcycle in and out of the mountains, man. It's awesome.
Washington's great. Did you ever go to Yakima?
Long time ago. I haven't been there in the last few years though.
That's pretty cool, like somber kind of chill place in Washington. It's not. I didn't even know about it until I was out there. We actually were in Kent, and we went to Seattle, and then everyone talked about Yakima. So I mean, it's definitely it's like a different world out there compared to Seattle. But I mean, I'd be looking forward to going back.
Yeah, yeah. Do any of you guys ride motorcycles or no?
No, I wanted one and I bought a Jeep.
My mom was a registered nurse, so they were called donor cycles, and I wasn't allowed to have one. But then once I had my own place and my own house, then I kind of got my own motorcycle too. So
Nice.
It's just kind of like how there's 3 people here wearing hats and one that doesn't, but the one that doesn't gets to do the cool thing and ride a motorcycle.
Yeah, you got to order the special hat for me. I got a big dome, so
Dude, I'm telling you, man.
You got to get the special helmet, man.
It's all that HVAC knowledge you got crammed up there, Jay.
It's something up there. I don't know what's going on up there, man, but it's something.
It's something
this hat
special,
is
I tell you.
on the last strap, dude. It's barely
holding on for dear life. Hey,
begging for mercy.
Yeah,
Dusty probably got a little bitty head. He can wear any hat.
I'm envious.
Given the hat that you got there, though, Pat. So when's the beer cooler and everything going in at the barn?
I don't know. I'm going to find a beer cooler. Either find one or build one now. I don't know. I seen it and I was like, it's a limited run thing, and I had to do it. My wife's like, "How much does that cost?" And I was like, "Oh, you'll see." And she's like, "What the hell?" And I was like, "Sorry, it's like a one-off thing. I couldn't say no. I mean, it is what it is." So it's cool. It's their small pipe wrench. I think I look and see what size it is. So it's got a piece of pipe in there. It's etched, like it says wrenched, which is their beer, and it says 100 IPA, and then it's numbered. So mine's numbered 90.
Cool.
But I about freaked out because I came home and it wasn't on the porch, and my wife didn't get any packages, and it still was delivered. My neighbor was like walking down the road and had this box, and it said Rigid on there, and I was like, "Oh God, please say it's mine! Please say it's mine!" It was mine. So he brought it down to me. I was
Thankfully,
like,
you got
out.
an honest neighbor as well.
Well, it's weird. Like his FedEx packages always get delivered to my house, but I've never had any delivered to his house. FedEx is just terrible around here, so it is what it is. But
does Rigid make their own beer? Is that a real IPA, like the Rigid?
Yeah, they made their own beer. They partnered with somebody made a beer, so I'm gonna try to get over to Ohio and find some, so I can at least have a can of it, because there's cans going around, so I like to at least have a can of it to keep. And like when I do my office behind where I'm gonna record at, I'm gonna put a shelf. I'm gonna put my Sefesa Tech of the Year up there. I'm gonna put my my HVAC tactical award up there, so it's gonna be like my award shelf. So just like the cool stuff I want to show off, I'm gonna put up there. So
that's cool.
Where's yours at, Matt?
It's let's see if directional pointing works. It's up over there, actually.
Where's your hot block at?
Oh, let me grab it. Just bear with me a second here. Let's see if the microphone wire reaches far enough.
Jerks his whole computer off.
Exactly.
I wonder if it's still in the case or we pulled it out of the case. Little case with the lights on it. As soon as I start seeing those out, I'm gonna go buy one just so I have one.
Oh, I'm all over one of those for
So
sure.
Matt should have the end, so we can just get it from Matt, have him autograph it for us.
in clear HVAC R&D mode, I've got my podcast pants on.
Yeah,
Nice.
I saw that.
So y'all know what this one was, the good old Flynn to Win tub.
Yes,
This
sir.
is what started the entire thing. And there's only 2 of these currently floating around, from my knowledge. So this was an initial prototype tub of. So we got the HVAC doctor kind of cartoon guy on there. The focus isn't exactly the best on the webcam. But we got some different tub designs floating around right now with talking with Solderweld and Supco.
Nice.
Is there a hashtag that goes along with that as well?
There is, but I'm afraid to use it because I'm running out of funds. Like, they're asking me to pay for it. Something
They're
about
asking
block
you.
with the dock.
Yeah, the block with the dock. Matt won a
That's
contest and to be a little ambassador of the hot block there. And so I was out with my boys playing poker one night, and we were drinking copious amounts of single malt and bourbon and stuff. And I came home, and before I went to bed, I just kind of looked at my phone, and Matt had posted a hot block post, and I was like, oh, I know what a good idea is. And then I hop on my little phone. I'm like, hashtag block with the dock. Excellent. And then I go to bed, and I wake up in the morning, and I guess it kind of took off.
blew
It bit.
Kind of blew up.
It bit. Yeah, it was a good one.
But you negotiated some good terms on that one.
I think so. I was a part of that contest too. And
Front runner, by the way.
I think the reason I didn't win, it's just I don't think they could have picked me. Block with the dock was a better hashtag. I don't think they could have gone with like hashtag play with Jay. That was the only kind of thing that went. Yeah, you can't do that one. The whole play with Jay.
Yeah.
Block with the dock. You kind of got to choose, and I think you got to choose the block with the dock for sure.
Play with Jay. Yeah.
Play with Jay. It wouldn't have taken off, I don't think.
Marginally more marketable.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then we got a few other items in the shrine. So there's one of these things floating around. I'm sure there is another one from table 22 that's somewhere over in Pat's collection.
It's in the house. I'm out in the barn right now. I'd grab it.
So. There's a little post a little while ago. It was something that I got from Mike Mayberry back when Mike was doing his IG Live giveaways. So I did a little post about this hat. And this is kind of like my centerpiece of my little HVAC shrine. So this HVAC Mafia hat, for anybody who's listening to this who doesn't know who HVAC Mafia, who Victor Lopez was, Victor was an absolute gem and gift to the HVAC community, to the Instagram, social media, and HVAC community. And him and Mike Mayberry were friends. They'd often meet. And this hat that I have here was one that Victor had given to Mike personally just prior to when Victor passed away. So for Mike to be willing enough to give away a couple of the hats that Victor had given him over his social media, and for me to actually get one for everything that Victor had done for our community, this thing sits down in my office. It's something that is very, very important to me. It'll never be worn. It'll forever just sit in my little HVAC shrine as a memento and memory of everything that Victor did.
Nice.
I did actually get one other thing that I forgot to grab that goes along with the tactical experience. Let's see if I can. I think I've got it. So I was lucky enough to have my presenter, Mr. Ridley, reach out to me after the tactical awards and say, hey, I found something in my suit from the tactical awards. And if you want to have it, I'm more than willing to send it over to you. So this was something that Brent was holding up on stage.
Nice.
and has a little card inside. But that was the little awards envelope that he opened up on stage. So it's kind of, for me, it's a very special item as well.
Hmm.
It completes the entire HVAC tactical experience.
Yep, I got mine too. That was a weird moment. Like, I did you know you were nominated?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Some people knew, some people didn't. So, like, I knew I was because he reached out to me and asked if I went by Pat or Patrick, and I was like,
yeah,
I thought it was just whatever. I told him. He's like, well, you're nominated. I was like, oh shit. I was like, that's cool. And I was like, what category? And he wouldn't tell me. He's like, you'll just find out. I
yeah.
was like, all right. So I'm sitting there waiting. I'm just kept waiting for my name, and then it comes the best social media content, and like the first guy comes up, I'm like, oh, that stuff's pretty good. And it was like Jamie from Northwest HVAC. I was like, oh, he's got this in the bag. And then the next one was like a picture of my ice machines from a local university in the cooler door. And I was like, holy shit, that's me. And
Yeah.
Chris Stevens up there's reading the names, and he opens the envelope, and he looks right at me and looks back down. I was like, oh hell no. And he said my name. I was like, that's cool to have my friend, read
Yeah.
my name and call me up there. So it was totally unexpected. Like I said, I still don't know how I did it. I'm glad. I'm honored. It's been a ride. So, I mean,
100%.
just have fun with it, man. I sometimes I take it too serious, and really I just need to focus on having fun and enjoying it, and just let it come natural. I mean,
Yeah.
some of these guys are out here forcing it, and it's just it doesn't really do any good. I think.
If you're forcing something, it comes off as disingenuous.
That's all I'm
So
doing is having fun. Whether
yeah,
Yep.
my wife, it drives my wife nuts. I'll like make something, I'll edit it, and I'll have like some sound, or there's me talking, and I'll watch it like 20 times before I even post it, right? And then she's like, can you put that away? And I'm like, and I'll be giggling like a little child every single time. The 20th time is still just as funny as the first
Oh yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
I'm like, Nicola, even if no one likes this, I love it. It's super niche, super tiny, only a small fraction of the world gets it, but the ones who do, they get it. And
Yep.
that's what I'm all about. It's so much fun to post that stuff. And then you have people who actually like respond to it, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, that was me last week. And I'm like, that's happened to you, right? Making silly little
Mhm.
reels. Like I like to make some content. Like there's some really great people out there making some really great content that's like training based, mentorship based, troubleshooting based, how to based. I kind of do a little bit of all of that, but just make it silly.
Yeah,
And
that's the way I try to be.
It's
Just,
oh man,
you give it the HVAC J604 spin, and
yeah.
that's what makes it unique.
Who doesn't want to see an get ready with me as an HVAC mechanic in Vancouver, BC, right? Like honestly, it's I need to do some more of those. I had so much fun making that, and even doing like the little suit drop that I did just before tactical the day of, where
Man, that was
you drop
so
the phone
mint.
down, and I'm wearing my A Team shirt from Infra Air, and then the phone pops back up, and I'm wearing my suit. Like that stuff's super fun to me. I thoroughly enjoy making stuff like that more than I should probably.
yeah, I mean, it's just have fun with it. That's why I tell everybody, like, oh,
Yeah.
like I don't try to be serious, man. I'm like, I put out some serious stuff on how, something I think it's important to know, but most of the time something I think's funny or cool. I'm trying to do more and more like how to stuff, but then I'm like, I forget to record something. And I'm like, oh, this is wasted, footage or whatever. But I'm just here to have fun, man. I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time.
Yeah,
That's right.
here to put out the content that you want to put out.
Yep.
And
That's what I'm about.
the content that people want to put out, it's you put out a representation of yourself. And if you're putting out
Mhm.
something different, like you were saying, Pat, it comes off disingenuous or forced. So, everybody in this little conversation today, and all the stuff that we're putting out on our different brands, that's us, man.
Mhm.
Like, from Jay dropping his phone to being in his infrared shirt to his suit to his different shenanigans of fixing different equipment to what Dusty's posting to what you're posting to the dry, here's another Aeon unit and here's how to work on it, Matt kind of post.
Here's my laptop on a magnetic holder in a different spot from yesterday.
But I like it because everything's so different.
Same
It's
holder, different unit.
That's it.
everybody has their own little thing they do, and I find something interesting and informative from everybody's different perspective on how they see their job. There's lots of guys that do what I do. There's guys that do what Dusty does. There's guys that do what you do. But everyone shows their little take on it or what they get from it, and it's cool to see what people do and what they get from what they're doing. So
Sometimes what they get is a face full of glycol. There was a gentleman the other day trying to make a little how-to video and like a little like show and shine of what the inside of a expansion tank looks like, and he got
I
a.
don't know if Mr. Ani would appreciate that.
dude,
yeah.
I am so grateful that he set his camera up before he turned his grinder on. Let me tell you, man, I laughed so hard so many times, and I'm very appreciative that he had the camera ready and he posted it. That was great.
but
That reminded me of something that happened to me when I first broke into this trade. So, you've got Petro-Canada out in your neck of the woods, right, Jay?
Yeah.
So Petro-Canada is kind of like, well, a Canada-wide gas station. So when I broke into this industry years ago, the company I worked for, they did a lot of work for Petro-Canada on their car wash plumbing and heating side. So one call I got sent to, I had to replace a PLT 20 expansion tank on a 300-gallon hot water holding tank for the car wash domestic hot water. Well, I forgot to bleed the tank. I forgot to pull the Schrader core on the bladder, so I started spinning that little bitch off, and it was on top of the tank. So once it got to that last thread, it shot up like a little rocket, and it hit the ceiling. The core slab in the car wash came down, hit the ball valve that was isolating the water in the tank that was still alive, turned it on, and started spraying. Oh man, I was soaked solid on that one, and it wedged itself in there. So I'm trying to fight this bastard out. Eventually I got it, but man, I was thoroughly wet. That little post from Eric reminded me of my day of always make sure to depressurize those things before you cut into them.
It's a wise comment there, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that people will show their mistakes and their screw ups. I mean, so much of social media is everyone just trying to make it seem how good they are and how good they have it. But I mean, we all have bad days. We all make mistakes, and I'll post my mistakes just like the next guy. I mean, I want you to learn from my mistakes. Don't do what I did. Maybe learn from it and do something different. But I'm not perfect. I'm gonna put it out there.
Nobody is.
Nope.
My favorite comment to my apprentices or even young journeymen is like when I'm trying to give them advice or give them some training knowledge about how to work on a specific piece of equipment. It's like, here's what you should do and here's what you should not do. By the way, like, I know this because I did the thing that I'm telling you not to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's been done. Like, I love to give my apprentices a hard time sometimes, but like at the same time, like, I always like remind them like, oh no, you don't feel bad. You didn't screw this up that bad. When I did this task like 10 years ago, I screwed it up way better than you did.
Dude.
Way better.
So talk about taking a shower.
You screwed up. Look what I did.
Yeah.
So talking about taking a shower at work, we have hood systems in kitchens, and there's a company called Avtech, and they make like a raceway, and like they have quick connects for the water lines. Well, the problem is these water lines never get disconnected, so there's supposed to be a dry shutoff. You can turn them off under pressure, and they both seal off, and the water comes out. Well, the problem is there's hoses hooked to them for years and never come off, and they stick. So I didn't know better, so I left the water on, and I popped one of those off, and it was like a 3/4 inch, like 95 psi at a hospital, dude. And it's just, I'm underneath this hood and it's just spraying me in the face. I'm trying to shove the hose back on there. You can't get it back on there because you're trying to fight 95 psi of water. Dude, it was so bad, man. So bad.
Oh,
I have a
I'll
story
do you
to
one
that.
better after Dusty there, Pat.
Are you good? I had to change a inline pump motor just off the water heater at a restaurant, and they had 2 shutoff valves on it, so I isolated it. Well, I thought I isolated it, shut them 2 off, but it was actually backfed through like the restrooms, so it had a live water line through it. So I thought I had it shut off, and you go to take the 2 bolts off the side, there's a water seal. So I get the one on the back loose, and I go in and just fully, pull the bolt and the nut off the front of it. So it pops up, and as soon as it pops up, I mean, it's just like, it's like hot water just smoking out of there, and it's like a water right in my face. And the only option, because I can't get to the shutoff water because it's got to be shut off in the restrooms, is just to like put the bolt and the nut back in there and just thread it. And the whole time, like I can't see anything, and like my eyes are closed. I'm just like trying to ratchet it shut. I mean, it was probably 30 seconds, but it felt like 30 minutes. And I wish so bad I would have been recording that because it would have been quality content. And I can still remember it now, 100%. But when you think you got it shut off, and then when you're surprised like that, but it's, we learn from stuff like that, and it is what it is.
A buddy of mine, just going back about 4 years now, I think, he got called out to one of the banking towers in downtown Toronto, and his call was a plugged urinal. He's a plumber, so he got called out to a plugged urinal. I think it was up on something like the 60th floor of this tower. So he gets up there and he goes to shut off the water feed at the flushometer. Well, as he shut it off to take off the flushometer to replace it, the inch and a quarter water line behind that had deteriorated and it snapped.
Oh no.
So he's trying to hold inch and a quarter water pressure that's pumped on booster pumps, hold it back on the wall while trying to call the facilities manager to shut off water to the building. And the facilities manager didn't know where the water shut off was. No. My buddy did. So he eventually, made the decision to just let the water rip while he took an elevator down to go shut off the water to the building. By the time he'd done that, it had flooded out that floor and took out 6 elevators as well. The elevators, you open them up and it was Niagara Falls coming down them. So holding back that bit of water. My buddy, he had a worse day that day.
Yeah.
So you guys touched on something earlier, like here in America, we don't have to have like all the licenses you guys do. You're talking about gas fitter 1 and this and that. And I'm just amazed at like all the different things they make you guys do in order to work on stuff. It's just weird. I mean, I don't know why I find it weird. We just don't have that here.
Yeah, I mean, like Jay and I, we hold the same credentials. Their name's slightly different. So, Jay and I are both 313A refrigeration and air conditioning system mechanics, which means we can work on anything cooling wise, any BTU cooling, single phase, polyphase, across residential, commercial, industrial. And then our gas tickets in Ontario, mine's a fitter 1 G1 ticket. And in BC, Jay's is named a little bit different.
Yeah.
I forget the exact name for your ticket class. Was it? Like
I have the top gas
ticket?
ticket, so it's like an A ticket, and then that like is unlimited BTUs for whatever, and then below that it's like a B1. So for Matt, it's like G1, G2, G3 in descending order. For us, it's like A ticket and B ticket. So all separate schoolings and hours accrued to like obtain your hours, and then a separate like interprovincial exam to write it.
Yes. Our refrigeration ticket, it's interprovincial. We can go anywhere in Canada except Quebec.
Yeah, so Quebec. That's always the exception.
Exactly. Those cheese-eating spider monkeys can keep their own stuff. Just give us the maple syrup. We'll be fine. And poutine. So we can go within any province in Canada with that minor Quebec incidence. So I can go do refrigeration out in where Jay is. Jay can come do refrigeration work where I am. Our gas tickets are not interprovincial. They're provincial specific, but we can apply to get the equivalent in whatever province we go to.
Yeah, I think they're changing to make that like an interprovincial trade currently, but that's still in the works, I think.
They've been talking about that for
10
well
years.
over a decade.
Yeah.
What about for you? So then to kind of give a bit of a like time frame on what it takes to get the tickets we have, the refrigeration ticket is a 5-year apprenticeship, 9,000 hours, during which you have to do, depending on the province you're in Ontario, you got to do 3 2-month sessions full time of schooling, basic, intermediate, and advanced. Where you are, Jay, is it 3 or 4?
Where we are, it's 4. So it's 4 terms of school. So
a little bit of difference in terms of the number of schooling sessions you got to do. And then for the gas, it's a completely different ticket. So in Ontario, for natural gas, you can get your fitter 3 and fitter 2 with zero experience on the tools. You just got to pass the tests, which is scary because after you get a fitter 2, you can go start your own residential company. Once you have your fitter 2, to get the ticket I have as a fitter 1, you need to have that fitter 2 ticket for a bare minimum of 2 years and have 500 documented hours working with a fitter 1 on appliances over 400,000 BTU. After you've done that, then you can set your fitter 1 course.
Yeah, that's very similar to my province as well for how you get your A ticket and your B ticket, but it's changing now. So now you're going to have to, if you want to get your A ticket, you're going to have to indenture a proper apprenticeship under an A fitter now, I believe. Like when I got my A ticket, I had to have held a B ticket, which is the lower BTU rating, for 2 years. And then you could apply to apply to go to school. And then you did, forget how many hours of schooling it was. It was a lot. It was nights. And then you could go and write your exam for your province, and then you're good to go. But
yeah, I think the fitter 1 course where I am, I think it was about 3 months of night school.
Yeah, it sounds about
meaning
right.
2 nights a week.
Yeah.
And what about where you boys are at, Pat and Dusty? What do you guys got going on for tickets and whatnot?
Nothing. You can get a license. Some areas require licenses, some don't. You can go union and specialize in certain things if you want. I mean, I literally had no formal training from an education center. Mine's just all on the job. It's kind of weird. That's why I was like, I always hear people from up there talking about the G1 and the other stuff. I'm like, man, it doesn't make any sense to me. That's why I asked about it. It sounds like it's a more structured plan and probably a little better off. But here it's just pretty much get your hands dirty and ride with somebody.
The big thing is the fundamentals. The fundamentals are all the same. But if you were to go and look at my notes that I wrote 15 years ago and look at the notes they're writing in class now, they're different, right? It's all about just continuing that education as you go through and bettering yourself today, tomorrow, including myself. I'm always trying to continue on that curve of following technology and the type of equipment we're working on so that you don't get left behind, whether it's a type of fitting or whether it's a type of process or a piece of equipment and how it works. It's forever evolving, right?
Hey, so speaking about forever evolving and whatnot, so I know where you're working, Pat. You're doing a lot of training.
Yep.
And the company you're working for, they're investing in your training as well, sending you out to manufacturer reps to get actually certified on the equipment you're working on.
Yep.
And what about yourself, Dusty?
Yeah, they are. I go to some of the Safesa schools and the manufacturer training, just continuing education through the year. And down here, I'm Southern Indiana, so we bleed off into Kentucky. Yep. And most of my work is in Kentucky, so we're required to have a journeyman license, which is a 2-year apprenticeship, and then you take the test. It's 2 years and 12. I can't remember exactly the hours, but it's 2 years, and you take the test, you become a licensed Kentucky journeyman, and that's pretty much it. I mean, you can get your master's after 5 years, and that's a separate test you take. But I mean, that's only to work on HVAC, like refrigeration. There's nothing required. In Indiana itself, there's really nothing required either. And then kitchen equipment stuff. That's kind of the same thing Pat was saying. We don't really have a licensing structure for that. I don't think there's one in the States at all. It's just about educating yourself. It's not, you don't have a legal structure to adhere to, but if you educate yourself, you're way better off because it's kind of based upon learning things, building your knowledge, using that, and then just proving that you're a good and efficient technician.
Mm-hmm.
Then yourself, Jay, where you at? With Emerald Green, you guys are offering factory training or seeking out factory training wherever you guys can get your guys into.
Yeah, one of the
yourself.
One of the greatest things, one of the greatest things, I don't like saying that. One of the interesting things about COVID was just all the webinars you can take. So Not that I have tons of time in a day, but like the opportunity to take all these different webinars is great. We do staff meetings sometimes. We'll try to get a rep agency in when we do a staff meeting to do a training on their product or product line. And then we've also sent guys to trainings for VRFs for the different manufacturers as well. We're fortunate being close to Vancouver. There's lots of the major players out there all have like a headquarters or sales office where they offer training, so you can go and find out about the newest and greatest. And we also are investing in our guys too, in terms of like if there's training that they see that they want to do, then we support them to go and do that, myself included in that conversation as well too. I've definitely benefited by doing some paid training, both close to home and a little bit further from home as well.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
awesome.
we're approaching an hour and 45 minutes, guys. So yeah, it's been a long one. It's been fun. It's been great. But I want you guys to go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you out on Instagram, and if you guys have any parting words or anything. So let's start with Jay.
You can find me on Instagram. It's probably the best place to find me. HVAC_J604. Like I kind of said before, I'm just kind of having fun with it. So like if you like the trades and our job is so hard and so frustrating, and it's very easily to get frustrated myself with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can make myself laugh with it, it's kind of that like the Shining movie
Cathartic.
where if you're not laughing, you're crying kind of thing, right? So I kind of make it a little bit fun.
And you never know where he's going to hide. You never know where he's going to hide a sticker at. So
that's right. You got to stay tuned, man. It's not just the post; it's the stories and interactions as well. But like, I'm also part of a cool little clan here, the Red Seal Inc. crew, which Matt's a part of, and we also got our good friends, the HVAC foodie Ilya and HVAC Rachel. We're just a little core group of people that we bounce ideas and things off of, and we're super supportive of anyone who needs help too, right? Like if I've had people reach out to me, and I know people have reached out to Matt, obviously, and Rachel and Foodie. Yeah, right. We have a great little knowledge base, so we're happy to support and help the industry in any way we can.
That's awesome. And Matt, where can everybody find you at?
Before you can find me, remember hashtag get J to 1,000.
Get J to 1K. That'll happen
get J
soon.
to 1K. That'll happen very soon. So people can find me Instagram, _HVAC_doctor. I am also on LinkedIn under my full name, Matthew Waxer. And then on my neglected social media child, TikTok, which I should start putting more stuff to that.
I'm about to go find you there now.
Same name, the _HVAC_doctor. But
nice.
The easiest way to find me and get a hold of me is on Instagram. And to second what Jay said, I am lucky and blessed to be part of a good group called Red Seal Inc. With again Ilya, the HVAC foodie, and with Rachel, HVAC Rach. If anybody caught yesterday's International Women's Day, HVAC Rach partnered up and volunteered her time to a group called Women on Site. They're doing an awesome little thing in Ontario across all industries of HVAC, like all industries of skilled trades.
Nice.
Just a supportive community of like-minded women. And it was awesome to see stuff in their event. And in terms of our little Red Seal group, it's a group of like-minded professionals that are there to support each other and support the industry. Anybody who has questions about some of the products that people see pop up on my feed, I'm there to help out. There's many people I've helped out when tech support closes down for the day to get them through that bind. And I know Pat would do the same thing in a heartbeat for people in the kitchen, commercial kitchen industry. And I know, bet my bottom dollar, Dusty's going to be doing the same damn thing as well.
That's how I met Dusty, man. Dusty reached out to me for help on some stuff, and we became friends. We haven't met in person yet, but it'll happen soon.
It'll happen very soon.
I get the office done. He's going to come up and record in person. So,
Yeah.
I'll be up there, man.
Our other two members that we got to get on your show, we got to get Ilya and Rach on here to get their stories out on your platform.
yes, sir.
Rach's knowledge. Now, there's a lot of people in the social world that know Brandy Ference, who took home Trade Lady of the Year at the Tactical Awards. And Brandy is an awesome, awesome person. I'm lucky enough to know Brandy, and I've had the opportunity to chat with her a couple times. Rach's knowledge in the trade, just as much as Brandy. Rach is a phenomenal person. And once everybody gets exposed to Rach's knowledge and, just how good a person Rach is, man, that's going to be awesome. And what can we say about Ilya other than, man, he's cut from the same damn cloth I am. He's my HVAC brother from another mother.
Nice.
You need help on NJR? That's your man. Like 25 plus years of experience on that product. If he doesn't know the inner workings of anything and everything on that, I don't know who does, man.
Sweet. Well, Ryden told me to make sure I told you guys hi because he called me earlier on the way home from work. So you want to make sure that I said hi. And I just want to thank my friends at HVAC.R&D for everything they do for us and the community. They're some good guys. So make sure you check them out. So,
yeah, Ryden and Dennis are awesome folks.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down, guys. I appreciate your time. Now I got to edit all this and get it out tomorrow morning. I got to beat Make Trades Great Again before they get Jay out there ahead of me. So Jay gets a scoop. So thanks for your time, guys.
Thanks a lot, Pat. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us on, Pat. And it was a pleasure to chat with you and Dusty.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.